Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is. Welcome to episode 53.
It's Sheduer time.
It is Sheduer time. We're talking a lot about Sheduer. We hear some of our media friends, our national and local media friends that we pay attention to, constantly say Sheduer. They add the "ewer" in there.
Yeah, they can't just say Sheduer and pronounce it correct.
It's Sheduer. It's Sheduer.
Yeah.
It sounds better, honestly. Like Sheduer doesn't have that life to it. Sheduer. It's now it kind of is disrespectful too. Like if he has a bad game, a lot of people are gonna call him Sheduer.
Yeah, they will.
'Cause I don't think that's what he wants to be called. But hey, the biggest people in sports media are saying it's Sheduer. So,
Can you give us a Sheduer vocal warm-up to get it started here?
Sheduer, 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 Sheduer.
Sheduer. Okay. That's beautiful stuff. All right. Well, I didn't want to start off the show with Sheduer. I don't think it's a starting off the show kind of thing.
Well,
but now I feel like we have to.
But it's entertaining. It gets people invested in what we are trying to talk about here.
You're invested in Sheduer, clearly.
Hey, we're all. This is not just me here. We had a good laugh about it before. Jake Bell's invested for bad reasons. He doesn't like Sheduer.
I never said I didn't like. I just said that. I said he was overrated.
Here.
I said he was overrated.
He's overrated. He stinks.
Oh, I didn't say stink. I didn't use the word. I didn't use the word stink.
You said he stinks.
I didn't say stink. But
didn't you?
It wasn't on the podcast record.
Yeah.
So not you can't.
No,
you have no evidence.
Well, this is what I said. I said he was overrated. I said he was a 5th round pick that a lot of people were hyping up as a 1st round pick, and that's exactly what occurred.
Well,
he became a 5th round pick.
Well, I don't think you're giving Sheduer enough credit.
I gave him the appropriate amount of credit. He became a 5th round pick.
I think it's one of those.
I gave him the exact amount of credit.
Where, because he's a 5th round pick, people are doubting, they're hating on him, and people like me want to see the best for Sheduer. And so I'm coming at it from everybody's doubting you, Sheduer. They're doubting you this week. You're playing one of the worst teams in the history of our country.
Wow.
You need to perform, or else some are saying you may not start another game in the NFL.
Which
if you lose to the Raiders.
That's an insane thing to say after one game.
Sheduer.
I'm actually really interested. A lot of people are interested to see what he's going to do.
This might be one of the most anticipated 2-8 battle in the history of the NFL.
Genuinely. Because Cashman's not gonna.
Cashman is not gonna be watching.
Yeah, he probably won't.
He's gonna figure out why he's on the streets. He's gonna figure out his living situation.
And he's getting death threats because of Trent Grisham.
So Brian Cashman's gone through some hard times here. We'll put some picture of this on the screen, but last night he was out in the street. Well, he was covered. He did have. He did have some sort of like. He was in some sort of like garage or something.
Yeah, he was sleeping up, but it was a weird thing. But he's sleeping on the street. The media's all over. Like, what are you doing, Cashman? What happened? Did you get fired? What just happened? They're asking him about why did you pay Trent Grisham? Yeah. He's trying to sleep for the night, and they're like, why did you give Trent Grisham $22 million?
On the radio, fans on the radio yelling at him, saying, "This is why Yankees won't go anywhere because you gave Trent Grisham $22 million." Yeah.
Brian Cashman is in over his head once again.
That's what this guy said, yeah.
Even though Grisham could have easily explored the open market and make a lot more than what he's making now.
A week for Brian Cashman.
Yeah.
And now he's receiving death threats, so now he's sleeping on the street, being protected by, I don't know how that's smart for security. I think he'd be much better in his house unless people are somehow getting to his house. I don't know what's going on.
And he's talking about how people are going to make memes of him. Memes, not
this
memes.
Guy is clearly, outside of this podcast, has not interacted on any type of media except within the Yankees organization.
On top of this, he told us this week he's on the phone with Tucker. He's on the phone with Tucker, and then you see him later that evening on the streets in a sleeping bag on the streets of the Bronx.
Well, we're gonna have to have Brain on, as he's currently still leading our picks. By the way, I mean this
is not a good omen for Brain.
But he's leading in our picks. If the picks start to go bad with the Trent Grisham death threats and the sleeping on the streets. It's not looking too good right now. So
Night,
maybe it's a
Brian.
good sign for you, Jake Bell.
If people are saying, like, this is him sleeping on the street, this is him through free agency. Asleep at the wheel.
And if they don't have a good free agent, a good offseason, they have a bad season, we're going to be seeing this image a lot.
Night,
Cashman.
Brian.
Yeah.
Night, Brian.
But,
I could see the Pirates meme pages if they beat the Yankees have that as one of the pictures in the meme compilation on Instagram that they make.
Memes.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm
It's
sorry.
a mem.
Yeah.
Yes, he did call it memes.
But it is clear that he is dedicated outside of, with us, he's dedicated to the New York Yankees. Nothing else, no other distractions. And the outside has tried to stop him, right? They pulled him over. They tried to arrest him, and he said
that was some years ago, but yes.
But it's adding up now, and you see that
discrimination.
You see him getting flooded by the media about Trent Grisham. It's a hard time in his life, and people are like, "Why did you give Trent Grisham $22 million?" He's trying to find out where he's gonna live from night to night right now.
I mean, I think we got to give him credit because he does what he does. He gets to the playoffs every year, and he tries his best. And they're a winning organization, and I mean that's what he's committed to. He doesn't let the outside noise affect what he does. Now maybe he should listen to some people, because maybe he's in his own head, and maybe he's over his head at times with some certain things he needs to change. But overall, we have to say that he's done a very good job over 30 years. Probably a Hall of Famer.
Well, and he said yesterday,
right? Is Cashman a Hall of Famer?
Oh yeah,
Of
course.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is a We Are Family Hall of Famer, which we don't even have.
No one even
that.
cares.
We don't even have that, but
Maybe
we
we
do
should
now.
create one.
He'd be the
Yeah.
first inductee. He'd be the first one to be inducted.
yeah.
But he said yesterday, and I question this now. He said, "I'm great at spending money." But I don't know if you are now, because you might have spent too much, because now you're on the streets. Like, I don't know.
He might, there might be, I mean, maybe he is.
$22 million to Grisham did him in. Anyway, we're out of control here. I'm out of control to start this podcast.
We're all out of control this week, generally. So we had to start this podcast off with some out of control topics.
Get it
like
out of the
Brian
way.
Cashman.
Yes,
Yeah.
Get the silliness out of the way. Sheduer. Although, do we have any? What are our expectations for Sheduer? I mean, what's a good game for him?
I'm imagining like 200 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
He's going to throw it.
basic.
He's going to.
Yeah.
If he doesn't make mistakes, it would be a good game for him.
I think there's
Now, I think we know the issue of Sheduer is, and I don't think he's learned yet, you hold on to the ball too long. So he's going to take bad sacks.
Yeah.
But as far as protecting the football and distributing the ball to the playmakers, does Jerry Jeudy get the ball, right? They're not going to have David Njoku. So does Jerry Jeudy get the ball? He needs to show some sort of confidence that I can be a game manager, right? And I think that has to be his focus. Now, against Baltimore this past week, they had a chance to win that game. And Sheduer comes in for the injured. I think if Gabriel's in that game, they win, actually. And that's not like I'm not praising Dylan Gabriel, but Sheduer really struggled. He had a nice end of the last drive there, but he was taking lots of sacks. I mean, but that's a tough situation for him to come into against that Baltimore defense, which has been getting better. I mean, Cleveland scored most of their points off of turnovers anyway. So that was a tough situation to come into for Sheduer, that Baltimore defense. You're facing the Raiders, right? You should show some competence to manage the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to take too much from the Ravens' performance, because he was thrust in there.
Yeah.
The Ravens are fighting for wins right now. They need these wins. And it was kind of a deer in headlights situation. They were just, stacking the box against him, putting as much pressure as they could on him. And this Browns O-line is not like it was in years past here, where it used to be really, really good. It's not good anymore. So that could be an issue with Max Crosby this week, which I think will be an issue.
And we have to remember, this Browns O-line in past years has been very, very good.
Elite, yeah.
But it is a catastrophe now, folks. And that's bad for a kid who likes to hang in the pocket and hold on to the ball for a long time. That's not a recipe for success. And the Raiders have some dudes on that defensive front, as bad as they are. I mean, Max Crosby is a game wrecker.
He is.
And he's the guy you want in a game that's going to be. Who knows if either team will score 20 points in that game? So we'll see what happens. Because Cleveland's defense, as bad as Geno Smith is, they should have a field day as well.
Yeah. So I'm thinking Sheduer. I said Sheduer this time to be respectful, but he's I think he's going to be all right in this game. I think he's going to throw a touchdown. I think he's going to have a pick, though. I think he's going to be a little up and down. I don't know. I'm thinking like 15. I don't think he's going to pass that much. So I think he's going to have like 17 pass attempts. And if he does like 13 of 17 for like, I don't think he's going to pass for too much either. I don't think they're going to go down the field.
Kevin Stefanski has no trust in him, didn't want to draft him.
Yeah.
I doubt that. I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws less than 20 times.
Which is what I'm saying.
Now, if they get behind, then it's a different story. They have no choice.
If you have Judkins in fantasy, I think you got to start him this week because I think he's going to go off. I'm starting him. They're going to hand him the ball a lot in this game.
And why should people take your fantasy advice?
Well, because I'm 9-2 and I'm dominating right now.
There you go. I wanted to give. I opened the door. I
Thank you.
I gave you a meatball there.
Now I did lose in embarrassing fashion this past week because I forgot to update and put in my Patriots on that Thursday night. But
yeah, well, you are. We have to take it with a grain of salt, although it's a different category.
I'm good
you
at
are bottom.
I'm good
bottom of the barrel here in picks.
I'm good at picking players to do well. I'm not very good at all at picking teams to do anything. I'm very bad at that, and it's gonna get worse this week probably. But I don't know what to make of this game because you're like the Browns have an elite defense. If they had any kind of offense, Dylan Gabriel, he's serviceable. But if they had like an average offense, they could be a playoff team. It's just they haven't gotten that this year. Their O-line's a mess. But their defense, I think they're going to hold Geno. Geno Smith is horrendous. I mean, Pete Carroll is old and washed. It really is. And so I think this is going to be a close game somehow, just because I don't think the Raiders are going to outscore. I think the Browns might win this game now. I'm like flip-flopping because I was going to say Raiders, but I don't know. I might take the Browns to win this game. I think Sheduer, no mistakes. Geno, mistakes against the Browns defense. I don't know, but it's tough. There's a lot of bad factors for each team, which is why they're 2-8, both teams. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, I do have a pretty strong feel on this game, but not going to reveal that in the podcast. You're going to have to see it in my NFL picks this week.
Ooh.
Check out our shorts page. Jake Bell, anything else to add?
I don't think so. You guys kind of, he said everything you need to.
He doesn't have any. He's done with Sheduer. He doesn't have any.
There's not much to say. It's just it's crazy how much attention.
It's too poverty for him. It's too poverty of his.
There's just a lot of attention going on, and I get it because of just everything that's gone on with him. So, people think he was going to be a first-round pick, and he wasn't.
And he said, folks, you don't want to miss it this week, Sheduer. He said, you don't want to miss my first start. It's going to be great. Or I don't know what he said.
I kind of want to miss it, but because it's 2-8 teams. But I'm very interested to see what happens. But if he's really awful,
bad.
Yeah, you can't be awful.
Because there's been a lot of
where else are you gonna go?
Chaos with him.
You're already on the Browns. How far south could you go?
Yeah.
To get an opportunity somewhere. And he's already the league is set.
I'm sure
we don't
Tomlin could get a spot for him on the practice squad.
I don't. No, I mean
they seem to have gotten their guy. The guy of that draft, Will Howard.
Will Howard, the Steelers.
But you're saying he is the
QB.
guy or he is their guy?
Who's Steelers?
Yeah.
He was their guy for that draft.
Right.
I'm not saying he's their
He's the guy. Apparently, he's the best quarterback in the NFL.
Everyone thinks that Will Howard's. I like Will Howard, but it's just people think he's gonna be franchise quarterback. It's just we have to see.
Well, let's dive into your Pittsburgh Steelers and let's talk quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk quarterbacks because the Steelers did win 34-12 yesterday. It's last Sunday against the Bengals. The score and Nate didn't see much of the game, but Jake and I both agreed.
I watched it back and I watched the film, and it was a lot closer than this final score would indicate.
That's what we were gonna. I was just about to say. The offense, especially in the first half with Aaron, was. I mean, for how historically awful that Bengals defense is, the offense had no rhythm and really no identity. And I feel like that's been the issue with this offense, has been a lack of identity with Arthur Smith wanting to run the ball. Mm-hmm. Arthur Smith not letting Jalen be the cowbell of the offense. That's an issue. And then Aaron wanting to throw more, right? And Aaron having issues in the pocket. We've seen this all. He's been good at ad-libbing. When he gets outside the pocket, he's generally been good. But the last few games, he's been kind of forcing stuff to happen that doesn't necessarily need to happen. Just stay in the pocket a little longer, and that play is going to develop. And that's a concern. And that's why he got hurt, because he kept trying to make things happen. Instead of just throwing the ball away, he waited till he got out of the pocket, waited till the last second, then got hurt. And I think what the irony is with Aaron, the reason he leaves the pocket is he doesn't want to get hit. But him leaving the pocket actually is increasing his chances of getting hit, because then the edge rushers come after him. He can't get around them, right? And then he has to make a decision. Oh, crap, now there's two guys on me, and now I fractured my wrist. Fortunately, the injury is not too serious for Aaron. I think he's going, the vibe that I'm getting from what I've been hearing, I think he's going to play. I don't know. They basically saying it's up to him. Do I think a healthy Mason in this game specifically would give the Steelers probably a better chance to win? Maybe. Am I saying Aaron Rodgers is better? Am I saying that Mason Rudolph is better than Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I still think Aaron has done a lot of great things this year, but we see some of the issues with the not staying in the pocket long enough. And over the last couple of games, just some unusual inaccurateness. I don't think that's a word, but inaccuracy would be the correct word. And it's a little concerning. I think he needs to get back to getting the ball in and out of his hands, and just hanging in that pocket. Don't go out of the pocket if you don't have to, because that actually increases your chances of getting hurt. We saw that, and I hate to compare Aaron Rodgers and Kenny Pickett, but why did Kenny Pickett get hurt all the time? Because he would run out of the pocket for no reason and get into these sacks and these situations that cause injury. So what are your guys' feel on Aaron and Mason? Should Mason start? Would you prefer Aaron give that wrist a week off and have Mason start this game? Because we saw the offense in the second half. It looked better in the terms of Mason is a pocket quarterback, right? He stands in that pocket. He waits an extra second, and we saw some plays develop downfield. And this is a game where the Bears' defense isn't good, but where you want to get them is with the run game with Jalen Warren. So this may be a good game for whoever is at quarterback to hand the ball off and not take too much of the weight on their shoulders and let Jalen Warren, if Arthur Smith would give him like 70 to 80% of the carries, please, let him take over this game offensively.
Yeah, to me, like, the good thing with the Steelers is that, in my opinion, they have a pretty good backup quarterback. It's not like if Aaron Rodgers can't go, they have to throw out Mitch Trubisky, and you're like, okay, this might not be a good situation. To me, if Aaron Rodgers is not 100%, I would sit him, and this is the reason why. We know the Bears, the record looks pretty decent, but I think they're still a beatable team. If the Steelers can't beat the Bears with Mason Rudolph at quarterback, I don't think that anything's going to make of the season. To me, if we're in a situation where Mitch Trubisky was our quarterback, you have to rush Aaron Rodgers out there because you know that he's going to give you the best chance to win. there's a drop off between Aaron Rodgers and Rudolph, obviously, but it's not like it's this significant drop off where Rudolph is just gonna blow this game. He's gonna give you confident play. As long as they don't turn the ball over, they should beat the Bears. And it's just, I'm not rushing the quarterback that you need to start to have any chance in the playoffs, because of something like that. But I think Aaron Rodgers is going to rush himself because he's probably going to want to play the Bears one last time.
I mean, yeah, this is a big game for him.
It is. Like, he's going to want to play. I have no doubt in my mind. But if there's any way, if he is just not 100%, I would stick with Rudolph. I mean, he's proven he could win you regular season games, and that's all you need. Like, in a 3-game span, Rudolph will go 2-1 for you. Like, if Rodgers is not 100, he's 42 years old, right? If he's not 100%, I just don't have confidence. Like, it could become a very ugly situation to start the game if he's not 100%, if he's not throwing the ball well. So to me, like, unless he is full on good to go, I'm starting Rudolph.
I want to see what Arthur Smith's offense, how this team looks with Mason Rudolph at quarterback, because look, as much as we've liked what Aaron has done this year, the last few games have been shaky for the reasons I already talked about. And in that second half, I don't think Mason, even with Aaron at age 41, I still don't think Mason has the talent of Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's not a question of talent. My question, what I want to see is, could Mason Rudolph this year be in this offense, in this Arthur Smith offense, is him sticking in the pocket, the style of quarterback that he is he a better fit for the Arthur Smith offense than Aaron Rodgers? Because I've been saying since the beginning of the year, like, I don't see how Aaron and Arthur Smith are going to exactly gel. And over the last few weeks, I've seen that come to light. Could Mason Rudolph be a better fit for this offense, Nate?
He could be.
And I do want to say, Arthur Smith's best years were with a Ryan Tannehill, which is kind of a Mason Rudolph archetype,
and
right?
he sort of complied. He wasn't this, like, he's not Aaron Rodgers where he's going to try to have more of a say.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a case to that. I mean, we've seen these videos, where Mason Rudolph, that small sample size, he stays in the pocket and delivers throws, whereas Aaron is really all season, for various reasons, age being one of them, is a little bit, antsy in the pocket and wants to move around. He could be a better fit, honestly. I mean, this offense we know hasn't clicked this season like you'd hope and like you'd want. And, Rudolph showed a lot, I think, last week. Honestly, either one I would be fine with starting this week. I think, the Bears, 21 sacks this season for the Bears. I mean, they're not the greatest at pass rush. That's like 2 a game. And, if the Steelers O-line, now Montez Sweat would be on Broderick Jones, who knows. But if the O-line could hold up in this game a little bit, I think if Aaron would be playing, I think there would be more of an onus, too, on holding up for Aaron Rodgers. I think it could be a game where you get away with it. But honestly, I mean, what would be best for the team is probably if Aaron Rodgers sits out this game, gets that wrist a little more healthy for these games coming up, against Buffalo, against Baltimore, against Detroit. I think that would probably be the ideal option here. But are you going to win the game, with Mason Rudolph at quarterback? I think you could, but
my thing is, I don't think this game is about the quarterback at all. I think it's about Jalen Warren. I think Jalen Warren, when this offense is going well, he is the focal point. Now, it probably should be DK Metcalf, but that's because Arthur Smith's offense is goofy, okay? But when they get Jalen Warren the ball, especially up the middle, like, they always try to do these pitches, but I feel like they're better running the ball up the middle than they are to the outside. I think sometimes they get in trouble running the ball to the outside. But Arthur Smith loves to run the
A lot of teams, I hate when you go to the outside. It takes longer. The defenders have more time if they're off balance to get set and get over there and beat you to the spot. But, yeah, I agree. I think Jalen Warren, I think it will be more – Steelers, regardless, should move the ball against this Bears defense. This is not a good defense.
They should have been moving the ball last week, and they didn't very much.
Well. I know, but like that's why you say it like quarterback shouldn't matter, because either one is in there. should do a great job of seeing who's open and having a mix of run and pass. There should be a balance there. And for the Steelers, whoever's in the game, whoever's the quarterback, there has to be a running identity in this game. Just committing to the run, committing to more time of possession, right?
They are one of the worst teams in time of possession. And I think that's because there is this strain. We want to throw the ball more with Aaron, but we have the Arthur Smith offense of running the ball, and I think that's an issue.
And it's either longer drives or it's 3 and outs. And then for your defense, conversely, this defense gives up a lot of longer drives as well. And when they're on the field a lot, it's not a recipe for success for those older guys. So, and I think the Steelers, on paper, match up pretty well in this game. I think the Bears are a solid team, but I think they're very gettable. I think, T.J. Watt, man, if there's ever a game to step up, he did it against the Colts, like you could say, but like this is a game you got to wreak havoc with Caleb Williams. Nick Herbig's been great. Keep up what he's doing, but there has to be some pressure in this game on Caleb Williams and on Ben Johnson.
You have to put. I think yes, you have to put pressure on Caleb Williams, but the way you put pressure on Caleb Williams is not even. I'm not even talking about like pressuring him in the pocket. I'm talking about putting pressure on him to perform by stopping the run.
By stopping DeAndre, yeah.
We're saying Pittsburgh needs to run the ball because of how bad the Bears' run defense is. But we're saying, what is Pittsburgh's identity on offense? With Ben Johnson, the Bears, as weird as it has looked at times with Caleb, and with how average their defense is to below average their defense is, right? They're 7-3 because Ben Johnson has an identity. He wants to run the football. They have one of the best rushing offenses in the NFL. If the Steelers say, hey, Caleb Williams, you got to beat us today. We're not letting DeAndre Swift run all over us. And the linebackers do what they're supposed to do. That's going to be the key, right? And that's always an issue at times with these linebackers, especially with Peyton Wilson. Sometimes he looks like a superhero, and other times he looks like he should
really
not
no
even be on the
in-between
team.
with him.
So it's up to these linebackers and the guys on the D-line to stop the run. And I think if they stop the run, you force Caleb into these third and longs, we're going to have some success. I do. But you don't know what Steeler defense is going to show up.
And their run defense has been uncharacteristically bad this season. Like Chase Brown ran 2 games, he's running all over you, and they can't do anything running the ball. Now, a lot of that is because they have to pass it a bunch to stay in these games, Cincinnati. But he hasn't run for nearly as much in the games this season as he did in the 2 games against the Steelers. So if there's a committed effort to stop the run, and Mike Tomlin always talks about it, we got to stop they're getting shredded 400 yards, giving up passing. We got to stop the run. If you're practicing what you're preaching, this could be a good game for the Steelers to show that this defense is maybe not back, but is just because there's been a couple performances in a row that are encouraging. They're not slam dunk. They're still not getting as much pressure as you'd like on the quarterback, but encouraging performances defensively, where if you have another one here, you stop the run a little bit, you make Caleb make some decisions passing that he maybe doesn't want to, and put Ben Johnson in a situation where that relationship, they're still developing that, and Caleb has to throw the ball here or something. When you put him in those obvious passing situations, I don't think Ben Johnson 100% trusts Caleb Williams yet. So that could be an interesting dynamic there with the Bears. It should be a good game, though, for sure.
The whole Aaron Mason thing, though, I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts on it. I'm conflicted because I want to see Aaron against his former team. I liked how Aaron has played overall, despite some of the concerns I have lately. But at the same time, I want to see what Mason looks like, just for one game. I want to see it because in that second half of that Bengals game, DK Metcalf was getting targets. Everybody was like, specifically DK Metcalf. He needs to get more targets, and with all the money they have invested in him. And Aaron and him have not been on the same page at all. And I don't think that's their fault. I think it's more Arthur Smith's fault for not being creative enough. But if Mason could find a way to hit DK Metcalf more often, because I know in that Bengals game, I remember seeing Mason throw. Mason doesn't have the strongest arm. Aaron has much more arm strength, but Mason has that nice little moon ball, kind of like a Russell Wilson moon ball that Aaron doesn't really. He doesn't do a lot of moon balls. Like, he could throw a moon ball, but you only see that on like Hail Marys from Aaron. And I remember I saw Mason throw one up to DK. It was back shoulder, and he caught it. Now, he was out of bounds, but it looked so easy, and it was like, that is like what it looked like with George Pickens when George Pickens was rolling. And I think we can get that with DK Metcalf more often than not, especially if Mason's throwing those balls. I just want to see how it looks. I'm just curious to see.
Yeah, it's just, I agree with that. It would be nice for Aaron Rodgers to get that one last chance against the Bears, assuming this is his last year. But at the end of the day, I kind of do want to see Mason. It's just, imagine, like, what if the Steelers are down like 10-0 and Rodgers gets hurt or something again? Like, that's a horrible situation. Like, it's just a weird.
Don't even say that.
I don't want to say it, but like, that's what I fear, and I don't want that to happen. I'd rather them just have a full healthy quarterback available, good to go, and Rudolph can just game manage his way into a win. And that's, I mean, we shouldn't expect less, in my opinion. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with Payne, what you were saying. I'd like to see Aaron play in this game, the storylines and everything, but it's probably the smarter play here to start Mason Rudolph and see what's going on and see what you got. Either way, this has to be, like, if they don't, like you were saying earlier, if you don't carve up this Bears defense at least a little bit and stay in this game and be in a position to win, like, you're just not a viable team.
Well, I don't think they're a viable team. I've just seen over 10 games. I think I've seen enough. I mean, we fought this going into the season, but when they were 4-1 or 4-2 or whatever, about to face the Packers, it's like, okay, can they prove something? And there's too many inconsistencies on this team as far as coaching and on this roster where I don't feel. I mean, like I said, I don't think there's been a game this year where they've put it all together for 4 quarters on all 3 special teams, offense, and defense. I haven't seen it this year. And, yeah, if they beat hooray, you beat the Bengals. Hooray, let's just say they beat the Bears. Well, then you still got to play Buffalo, Detroit, Baltimore twice. Like,
Sheduer, maybe.
Sheduer. I mean, like, they haven't done anything. I mean, they barely beat the Jets. I mean, they haven't done anything to me that makes me think that this year is going to be any different than other years, despite the performance of Aaron and some guys on the defense. But the defense has. We'll talk a little defense here. Kyle Duggar, pretty darn good addition so far. Who's at corner right now?
James Pierre.
That's right, James.
Yeah,
and
I have to make a public apology to James Pierre because I thought for the longest time he was a bust, and he played like a bust. Like, every time the Steelers put him out there, he was bad, folks. Like, if you've watched over the years, he has been bad. And I've been saying, like, he is not a corner in the NFL. Well, something has clicked with James Pierre. Now, maybe it's just, he's had a couple, what do they call them? They'll say James Pierre legacy game or whatever. Maybe it's just a needle in a haystack kind of situation. But I don't know. People are really hyping him up right now. And maybe it's because we're desperate for secondary help and we're trying to take anything we can get. But
well, I remember after the 2020 season, whenever the Steelers let Mike Hilton go, I remember people were hyping up James Pierre. It was like, he's going to replace Mike Hilton. I watched this 2-minute video where this guy was like, it was titled, James Pierre is going to be the next great cornerback for the Steelers. I'm like, what in the world? So I watch it. He basically had him break up. It was him breaking up one pass. It was on rotation for 2 minutes, just detailing this one play he made, saying like, oh, this is this technique. This is exactly what's going to make him, the best corner. It's like, what about the other plays where he just blew up the cover? Like, yeah, it was just funny to me. Like,
well, I think as far as the pass rush goes, right, we've seen it. I still don't think it's where it needs to be. I think the blitz has, when it's at times has worked this year, but they've been trying to figure out when to use it and when not to use it. And but I think the key is, and they've been trying to do this more, have Herbig, Watt, and Highsmith on the field at the same time, or a combination. Was it Herbig, Watt, and Highsmith, or maybe it was Herbig, Hayward, and Watt? I don't know what the combination was. Now Highsmith keeps getting hurt. We all agree we think Herbig is the better player, but getting as much of those guys on the field as you can is important. And I think the big key, though, on the back end, Darius Slay can't be a starter anymore. James Pierre has to come in, continue to hopefully prove all of us wrong. And I'm specifically talking about myself. And for Asante Samuel, I don't know when he's going to be activated, but for him to come in and see what he can do as well is going to be interesting. But the combination of Kyle Duggar and Jalen Ramsey at safety. Now, I hate that we basically traded Minka to replace Minka now, but if Jalen Ramsey could play at his best, I mean, there's really nothing you can do now. Like, if that's his best position, then that's his best position, right? And if he can, the secondary can solidify by next year pretty well, right? And Jalen Ramsey's a part of it, I think it's a successful trade, even if he isn't a corner anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I know I touched on a lot there with the defense.
Yeah,
but
first about the pass rush, it's crazy. Like, at least certainly I haven't thought it's been great all season, and they were like second in sacks. They're like second in sacks this season.
I would never.
But it's because of they bring a lot more blitzes.
But it doesn't it just doesn't feel like they're getting to the quarterback, and it's like, wow, like that was surprising when I saw that. But
and to their defense, right, a lot of these games where they've gotten torched is because the quarterbacks are getting it out of their hands, because we know the Steelers play some soft coverage at times, and a lot of the short underneath stuff, especially these good offensive coordinators, they know how to exploit that. But
yeah, T.J. Watt, he's been a little better the last 2 weeks against Cincinnati. Obviously, a terrible roughing the passer call. I still understand. I hate where the league's going with the roughing the passer. You touch a quarterback and it's a 15-yard penalty. But he would have had that sack there, or at least I can't remember. But and he almost got him by his shoestrings on the one, but Flacco was able to evade that sack there. So he was getting more pressure. Obviously, Herbig had the sack last week. He needs to be the starter. I don't know what we're doing here. You paid Highsmith the big bucks. You gave him the contract extension, but I mean, look what's going on here. Herbig has been really good. He feels small to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But he's elusive.
He's really good,
and he gets to the quarterback, and he wreaks havoc a little bit. Jack Sawyer. I mean, the people were. I like him and everything, but the critics kind of were right about he doesn't have that speed, and we kind of knew that. But there's been some plays where like he just hasn't, like, if it were Watt in that instead of him, like it would have been like a sack or something maybe, like, and in coverage it was just not good. But I think I didn't like, in hindsight, like, I didn't like that the trade getting rid of Minka, just because you were weak at safety to begin with. You know, you had Minka,
and that's what I'm saying. I agree with you there.
And he traded Minka, and I like getting Jalen Ramsey. I love Jalen Ramsey, one of the guys you love him on your team, but you hate him, but you kind of respect him on at another team. I love that addition, but it's like we're adding to one position, but getting subtracting from another, and now like what are we doing at safety? And we've seen those issues kind of pop up here this whole season. And you'd love to have Minka Fitzpatrick there, and then let Jalen Ramsey actually be a corner.
But is Jalen Ramsey?
Is he better as that safety position?
I think he's better at safety. I think he is.
I think as of now, he probably is.
And going into his 30s, right? I mean, I think if he wants to still have a longer career in the NFL, like, he's gonna have to continue to play there to be a guy, you know, a solid contributor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean this defense. Like I was saying earlier, we're in wait and see. Let's see if this week they have another encouraging performance. Can they take away the run, or can they take away can they take away something and make it really difficult? Can they get pressure? You almost don't want pressure too much in this game, like in terms of rushing the quarterback, because you want to stop that run. You want to stay back a little bit and just wait that split second to see is it going to be a pass or is it going to be a run, and try to stop Swift and Monangai and these Bears backs. But it's going to be tough. Monangai is one of those these Rutgers backs. We talk about Pacheco, Monangai. They're tough runners and they're hard to get down because they just got a full head of steam. But and Swift's like that too. But it's going to be a tough effort this week. But you'll learn a little something about this, because this Bears offense has been really good this season. I mean, they're fourth in the league in rushing.
Yeah, in totality. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they're 8th overall or something. But they like in every category they're top 10.
Yeah,
they've been
Coaching,
really good.
Man. Coaching, and then when you go out, I mean, Ben Johnson is about running the ball up the middle. And he made that clear when he didn't go out and get tackles, right? He went out and got interior guys. Joe Thuney is the first name that comes to mind, right? Like that, he built their identity in free agency, and he stuck to that identity. With the Steelers on both sides of the ball, I don't really know what their identity is. The Steelers have played better at times when they let their guys play zone, but sometimes they go back to man, and then they get cooked in man, and then sometimes they play too much zone, and they're giving up all bunch of soft stuff. So again, it goes back to identity and it goes back to coaching.
And the Bears, they got a talented roster. You look at Colson Loveland, obviously at the tight end spot. The Steelers can never cover
tight ends. They got 2 good tight ends, and that's not good for the Steelers.
Is Kmet playing then? I assume.
Yeah, Kmet's around.
I keep thinking he's hurt because I haven't heard him too much this season, but he gets overshadowed because he's been the Bears' starting tight end for years now.
He's very good. Yeah.
And you got Loveland there now. Roma Dunze is obviously excellent. Which more? I always get them mixed up. Is it DJ? Is DJ with the? I always get David because David's on the Panthers, and I get them mixed up for some reason. But DJ Moore is a consummate pro. Like he's just you don't hear
Who
much.
Is David Moore?
He's a receiver.
Yeah.
From the Cardinals, that David Moore?
I don't know.
David. Well, because he said the Panthers, right? DJ Moore used to be on the
He
Panthers.
was on the I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it was I don't know. I don't know what's
It's okay.
I get them mixed up. There's players I don't know.
Yeah.
I get them mixed up.
David Moore was with Seattle, then Denver, then Green Bay, then Tampa Bay, now Carolina.
David
I don't know
Moore.
who that is.
Yeah, in Carolina, yeah. Sorry, I just
Well, let me see a picture of him.
consummate. He's also a pro's pro.
What number does he wear?
He wears, I guess, number 83, but he's on the IR. He went to East Central College in Oklahoma.
So
Never
there
heard
you
of
go. There you go, David Moore.
Yes.
But yeah, DJ Moore. So they got a
What a
good
random sidetrack there.
Yeah.
well.
Side quest.
They got a good group of skill players on offense. So it's going to be really tough. And I just have visions in my head of the Steelers committing to stopping the run and Colson Loveland wide open over the middle, and Aroma Dunze burns James Pierre, and it's a it's a very fluky effort. When James Pierre was doing well, so you have that in the back of your head, and where it could go sideways. And if Mason Rudolph's in, then you're pressing. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see. I'm intrigued in this game for both teams because I want to believe in the Bears. I like the Bears, and I had high hopes for them, and then I kind of fell back a little bit.
Nice stuff that they were going to the playoffs. I don't know how the heck they're 7-3 because it hasn't been pretty.
They're first in the NFC North.
Yeah, and that's not going to last. If they get in, they'll be a wild card.
Insane.
The Bears and the Steelers, I feel like, are the same.
Packers aren't winning.
They're going to be. They're going to be wild card teams. Like even
who's
if
winning
they're
that
both in first
division?
place, I think Green Bay will. I will. Detroit. I mean. Jared
Packers
Goff in the cold weather. He goes outside and touches grass. He becomes a puppet out there. Like it's like if I had a puppet here and he's trying to throw the ball, he can't throw the ball. And then Their offensive line, horrific performance against the Eagles. Absolutely horrific. I think we're going to find out in that division.
Who says the Bears can't win
when the
the
Packers
division?
play the Lions, we're going to find out who wins that division. I think the Bears are going to be a wild card team. I don't think now if the Packers and Lions both self-destruct like they have, and the Bears keep their fluky stuff up, then yes, they may fluke out this division.
That would be
just like how the Steelers
crazy.
may fluke out the AFC North. If the Ravens keep playing with their food, like again on the road against the Browns, and they keep playing like that, then yeah, the Steelers could win the division. But do I see it happening? No. And that's the only hope for the Steelers is you win your division somehow, and you back in that way, and you get a home playoff game. That's, if they're a wild card team like they normally are at 10-7, there's a difference between being 10-7 and being the 6th or 7th seed, and being 10-7 and
hosting a
being
playoff
the 4th
game.
seed or the 3rd seed or whatever, right? There's a big difference. So,
Well, Green Bay, the Lions have that a fluky. The Lions dominate. They've been dominating teams. It just that game against Philly was just a bad spot, I think, for them. And Philly's defense has been tremendous. The Packers have been fluky. I mean, they've played, but
they don't dominate the.
They've played with their food,
But
to the
for
nth
me,
degree.
The Packers, it's fixable. Let Jordan Love be Jordan Love. Just let him sling the rock, man.
Well, these receivers aren't getting open.
But you know what? I saw today. I shouldn't put my foot up because I'm probably being blocked by the camera. You know what I'm saying. Who the heck's Jaden Reed, who was huge for them last year. He may be returning soon. His 21-day window.
Ooh.
But that's a big because they had him and Love. I think had a good connection. Now, someone at tight end is going to have to step up. But I think the overall issue, yes, the receivers drop passes, but Matt LaFleur's got to let you gave the kid money. LaFleur Sheduer. You gotta let the kid
Big week for
let his
LaFleur
wing.
and Sheduer.
You gotta let the kid out of his nest. Let the wings fly, right, Pigeon? You know about that.
I said I was letting it fly last week, and I barely eked out a 2 and 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't know about flying. I'm barely getting off the ground. Am I even? I'm on the ground.
Someone is over here. They were flying up here, and now it's going.
Yeah, I know. Last week
but you're
was,
still okay.
was
But
embarrassing.
You're one more bad week away from being in trouble.
Yeah, I my only
Pirate
correct pick. But yeah, I am. My only correct pick was my lock.
Is on the rise.
Like if I only have one correct pick. If it wasn't my lock, it was something else. I'd be very much even more.
Cowboys.
Yeah, I got the Cowboys. I got that. That was my lock, and that was the only one I got right. Everything else.
I was rooting so hard for the Raiders.
I
was the only one who didn't
0-4.
pick that game.
Yeah.
But the Raiders are an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly, by the way, complete joke.
Yeah.
Bro.
Cashman doesn't like him.
You know Geno Smith is the weakness of your team, of your offense. Dallas, I know they got 2 new players, and I think their defense won't be as horrific as it's been, but, this is not a good defense. You can exploit them. Whatever your strength is, you can exploit them. Ashton Genty's your strength. Run the ball. Dude, he had 2 carries in the first half. Geno threw 20-something times.
Jeez, man. I didn't even know it was that bad.
Geno threw 20-something times, and they find themselves in a hole because you're letting Geno Smith get into a gunfight with Dak Prescott. Not a good idea.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott and George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb versus Geno Smith and Tyler Lockett, who's well past his prime, although he's a consummate pro.
Yeah, I was going to say Trey Tucker. Forgot about him.
Yeah, there you go.
I think we've talked enough Steelers.
Let's move on to Pitt Notre Dame.
Or we could just hide in a hole and never return.
And just
to the
pretend that,
podcast.
Yeah, and that Georgia Tech was
we
the
could
only
end
thing.
the recording now and just not talk about them. Yes, we've been avoiding this topic all episode, but it's time to dig into
I think there were just other things. We're not avoiding. I mean, we got to be honest about it, and we're upfront that was not a good Narduzzi. I mean, that loss is on Narduzzi. I mean, fully to me. And you could say, oh, Cade Bell, this offense didn't put Mason Rudolph in the position to be successful. It's like, yeah, but Notre Dame was flying around defensively. They were extra motivated. The O linemen for Notre Dame before the game were saying, you see them, they don't respect you. They don't respect you. Narduzzi respects you. He's just a complete buffoon sometimes and means to say stuff and says it the completely wrong way. Marcus Freeman, I can't give him enough props. An excellent coach. Used that to his advantage. He was irked by Narduzzi's comments. And
you could tell after the game too that he was.
Yeah, the handshake. Narduzzi was like,
"Here, I'll be Narduzzi. You be Marcus Freeman."
I'd be like,
"Do they?" Well, yeah.
He's like, but Narduzzi almost grabbed him again. He's like, "Wait!"
Yeah.
He's like, "I want a hug, Marcus Freeman. You just kicked my ass. Please give me a hug."
Yeah, and just for that kind of performance, I know Jeremiah Love had the one run that was crazy, but other than that, he was kind of neutralized, but he still got 4 yards of carry.
Yeah,
and everything.
he still
and,
was. Yeah.
You had the third rushing defense going into the game, and you get obliterated in the run game. I don't want to blame the defense. It was just one of those games where it's just like they weren't prepared when you should have been prepared. You should have had things ready. You should have had your team ready. I think Narduzzi set the tone a little bit with you bring everybody back. And he just, for that, I honestly don't think the defense was like terrible either.
No, I mean,
the game was
totality,
out of reach
they only
already.
gave up 28 points. Like in totality, that's what they gave up.
No, the defense. I mean, I thought at times against the run, it was like, wow, they're getting ran over here. Like
but they were on the field so much.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't blame it on the defense, but that was the only thing for me with the defense where it was like, wow, they're getting. But like other than that, no, this had nothing to do with
Love
the defense.
is really good. Like, he's a really good back, and you got to be disciplined, and they just weren't as disciplined. Biles looked a little rusty returning. Some of these guys, returning from injury. Des Reed gets hurt again. Was looking really fresh to start the game, and then he gets hurt, and it was like, at that point, you're like, there's no chance that they come back. I mean, when it was 14-0, we had the feeling,
yeah,
they're not coming back in this game because you had your chance at first drive. You're moving the ball and everything. I'm not blaming Poppy Williams, but you got to make that catch there. And then you got to make it again when you get the turnover and you're in the red zone already. You get the interception by Baines Marquez, who's been tremendous this season. He's been more than what you could ask for. I mean, so much more. You're right there. That needs to be a touchdown. We were talking before the game. They need touchdowns, not field goals. And Poppy Williams, would he have gotten the first down? I don't know, but it would have been like third and very short. Instead, it's third medium to long, and you have to kick the field goal instead of trying to maybe pick it up the first down there or getting it on the next play and punching it in the end zone. The momentum has changed. For the Notre Dame defense, you're pinned, back, you're at the 15, 16-yard line, and you limit them to a field goal. That's incredible momentum and good feeling for your defense. And now it's just the snowball effect. And it was just really disappointing to see. It was a great crowd. There was a lot of Pitt fans and everything. There was a lot of buzz for game day and everything. There was a lot of Notre Dame fans there as well. But I thought there was a lot of Pitt fans and everything who were excited and loud and ready to see a good, because it was a big game for the Pitt fans. Just wasn't a big game for Narduzzi. And you can't have that.
No, it was a clown show for him. It was game day's here. Let's go. I'll go on TV. You'll look at me.
Marcus Freeman, all business, with his,
Well, yeah. Well, I want to set that scene real quick. There's a lot of things that set the tone for this game. Number one, I'm going to toss it to Jake Bell in a second, but right, we know what Narduzzi said in the beginning of the week, right? And we knew that there was a target on his back. I mean, they literally asked him about it during game day. They asked him about it all week. Why did you say that? Why is he saying this? It was a huge, huge, huge distraction. And Pat Narduzzi comes on the game day. A lot of these coaches come on to game day, even when they're on, and being interviewed, like, you can tell that they mean business. They're focused. And they want to win.
But usually it's for like a game that's like at 3:30 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like usually that time before the game you're preparing.
He walks in and says, like, look at me, I'm Italian. Yeah, look at me. Hey, guys, how you doing? Yeah. Right, that's my terrible Narduzzi impression. But he goes, he's looking all like that, and they go to the break and he's eating spaghetti and meatballs. They made a big pile of spaghetti and meatballs for everybody on the crew. And here's Narduzzi grabbing a fork, eating spaghetti and meatballs. And I don't know if this was before Narduzzi or after Narduzzi, but Then we go to the locker room at Heinz Field.
I think it was before.
And we see the locker room at Acrisure Stadium, and we see Marcus Freeman, who is I'll just say what happened. We see Marcus Freeman in the glasses, in a suit, with the most stern look on his face, like, this is our season on the line. This means everything to us. We're not here to play games. We're here to get in and get out and take care of business. And at that moment, Nate and I looked at each other because we were in the crowd at game day in the back, and we said, "This isn't good."
Yeah.
And what it showed was there are different classes of coaches in college football. And Pat Narduzzi, he isn't the worst, but he certainly isn't the best, folks.
No.
And Marcus Freeman is the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And he's proven that at a young age. And so I think the issue overall was, oh, look at us. Our school is on College Game Day. Let's have fun. This is fun. Oh, yeah, we're just here to have fun and we'll try our best. We'll try our best. And, College Game Day's here. And we're going to put forth our best effort. Maybe we will win. Oh, maybe Notre Dame. Actually, you know what? They have fooled around with Boston College. Maybe they're not that elite. You know what? We're at home. People are saying good things about us. We're just as good as Notre Dame. Instead of having that determination and having that business mode activated and realizing we are 12.5-point underdogs for a reason, because talent-wise, we are not on their level. So we have to do every little thing right. And that's not turn the football over. That's not drop the ball. And this is getting into the nitty-gritty of the game here, but the amount of that first drive, Pitt had something cooking. They could have set the tone early, and the amount of drops, we haven't seen that from the Pitt receivers this year. And you have to give Notre Dame's DBs credit. I thought that they locked up our guys like they haven't been locked up like all year. But we had some drops that were critical, especially on that first drive, but at multiple points of the game. And that didn't help Mason Rudolph. But what it came down to was you had to come up with a game plan where you're not affected as much by being completely outmatched at the line of scrimmage. And with Kate Bell, we know what they're going to do. They're going to throw the ball around the yard, right? They didn't have anything set up to say, hey, our offensive line is going to get dominated today. Like, there's no getting around that. And I don't think, even if they would have been the most motivated team in the world, I don't think it would have changed the fact that that was a mismatch at the line of scrimmage. And in college football and all football, that's what it comes down to. And they were just outmatched. And we knew this offensive line was bad, but I didn't think it was this bad. My goodness. But yeah, that's kind of my rant on the game. I don't want to get too much into the game because to me it was a psychological thing more than anything. And because it was a psychological thing, the more talented team showed up.
Yeah, and to me, like I was at game day for a while. Like me and a couple buddies, we were there since like 4 a.m. because we want this will never happen again.
No, it
like
won't.
Or not again, but like I mean, it might not happen for a while. So we wanted to get the full experience, and it was awesome. There was a lot of people there. It was really cool. But I was nervous with Narduzzi coming out there, and not because he was out there, more because it felt like this was more of a show than a game. I was a little bit nervous about that. I was like, it's cool. It's cool that Narduzzi was out there. Like he was the last person I saw before I left, like in terms of the entertainment aspect of it. And I was nervous. I was like I get that, this is a cool opportunity for Pitt, but like this is a noon game,
but
like
it's
you
an
guys mentioned.
opportunity you have to you have to go out and get and earn, because you could have all these special guests and have all this fun with it, but if you don't go out and at least be competitive, like you had a chance, your school was on the national spotlight. If you're at least competitive, you can show recruits, you can show people who may want to transfer to Pitt in the future, show players who want to transfer to Pitt in the future, hey, this school, this football program means business.
Yeah.
And instead it was, oh, Pitt, yay, we're in the spotlight, but we're going to lay an egg. And that was a huge opportunity wasted. Even if things go right the rest of the year, it was an opportunity wasted because now everyone knows like Pitt is ways away from being up there.
And it was tough because like you know for a fact that first drive could have really changed the entire outcome of everything. Maybe Pitt doesn't win, but like that first drive, it's like you had the 2 drop passes. You're like, especially the one on third down. It's like
some beautiful throws.
Yeah, they were like Poppy Williams. Like you couldn't have thrown it better over two defensive backs. And we know last year like Poppy Williams was open a ton, but he just couldn't catch the ball, and that wasn't an issue this year until last week during that game. And it was like that's just like that's such a killer because all of a sudden you're inside the 10 or close to the 10, and you're in striking distance, and then. You look at Blue Hicks, who has been more of I'd say more of a deep threat than, a more possession guy that racks up a lot of catches. But he had an opportunity to get a third down catch, and he couldn't hang on to the ball after being hit. And then after that, it just seemed like he lost confidence.
That was a hard hit.
It was, but if you're a Division I Power 4 receiver, you have to make that catch. You have to hold on. It's a third down play. It's an important play in the game. Especially, because you had to punt afterwards. And I get it, Blue Hicks, this is probably the biggest role he's played in a game like this. But it seemed like he was rattled. I think he dropped another pass like at some point in the game. Just the receiving core, they had a tough time. And Mason Heinchel, he made mistakes. I mean, we knew that. Obviously, the pick six. I mean, he had Poppy Williams wide open on the flat because the defensive back was inching towards the middle, and he didn't see that. He thought that the defensive back was going to inch more to the outside. But either way, that would have been an incomplete pass because the guy that was on the receiver he was targeting was all over him. But either way, that wasn't a good decision. But other than that, I mean, we knew that the line was going to have a tough time. I think that was just common sense. We all had a feeling. But whenever the line is having a tough time, like we know the receivers have to do their job, and I just don't think they did. I mean, even Justin Holmes, who I think we could agree has been probably the best or the most effective receiving tight end for Pitt this year, and he dropped a touchdown, and it just led to a weird series of weird calls by Cade Bell and the 1 yard line. They get bailed out by the pass interference from that Kenny Johnson had to take on.
They didn't deserve to score there. Yeah,
it was just a whole. And then they were on. I think they were on the 2 yard line, 1 yard line. They run the jet sweep for whatever reason with Deuce Spann, who we know is not a fast receiver on this team. It's just a weird. Like there's so many aspects of the game. I was like this didn't have to be a blowout. Like CJ Carr, like they made him throw the ball more than he probably.
He wasn't very good.
But he wasn't. He threw 2 picks. Like both of them were bad. It wasn't like, it was a tipped pass. Like both of them should not have happened. And if Pitt goes up 7-0 there on that first drive, that changes the tone because maybe Notre Dame's like, oh, maybe we have to throw the ball a little bit more.
They didn't want to throw.
They didn't want to throw it for a reason. Like CJ Carr, he's still a good quarterback, but he's
young. I
was telling people, I was like, if Pitt stops the run, they could win this game because CJ Carr's not going to beat you with his arm. And I mentioned about the Jeremiah Love thing where I'd rather him get that big rushing touchdown and do a bunch of nothing, and he did. But then he was starting to wear down Pitt's defense because they were on the field. The offense wasn't doing much.
And that's because it was the offense,
yes,
right?
I agree. Like the defense in totality only gave up 28 because I'm not going to count the pick six or the 2-point conversion return for a touchdown. That's the defense gave up 28 points, and if the offense plays well, they probably only give up 21.
And I think, but we all knew our concern going into this game, where it was like going to be a horrible scenario, was if the offense played horrifically. And I thought the offense would struggle, but I was hoping it wouldn't be this bad, and it was. Mm-hmm. And it comes back to Cade Bell, right? When your offense is one-dimensional, right, with a freshman quarterback who hasn't seen this many NFL players on the field all at once, this defensive line, right? He hasn't seen anything like this in his entire career, right? It's different. It's a different animal. And when you're one-dimensional, right, he doesn't have a run game that can help him. He doesn't have an offensive line that can block for him and give him the time that he needs. It was a doomsday scenario for the kid. And that was my issue with the Cade Bell offense is it's centered around the quarterback being the hero, the savior of the offense. And as talented as Mason Heinzel is, in that game, they weren't going to win that game with him being the savior, right?
Yeah.
It just was impossible if the scenarios, with it being a one-dimensional offense, just being an awful, awful offense in the red zone. I mean, we've seen that. This is why they lost the Louisville game. The red zone offense is just horrific. Now, the game was out of reach, but in the third quarter, I mean, they were inside the 5. They had two downs.
They had eight
goal
downs.
to go. They had 2 goal to go scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a BS pass interference, got the ball at the 2. They still couldn't get in.
That was like 6 plays they had.
It was more
but
than
the
that
issue goes
even.
back to not being able to run the ball. More specifically, they can't run the ball up the middle. Not just because the offensive line is bad, but because they don't have the backs in those short yardage situations to put their body on the line and get those short yards up the middle in the interior at the line of scrimmage, right? And that's a big issue. That's a big issue. And it was a tough, and that's why, like, I feel like, and that's what I've been saying, like, I feel like I was proven right in that Mason Heinzel can't be a savior, but that's not like a dig at Mason Heinzel. It's a dig at this offense and its identity.
Yeah.
Well, to your point, I was going to mention the run game because there was a time when it's 14-0, you could still run the ball, because it's the game. There's still. I mean, they got those 14 points 7 minutes in the game. There's still the whole game left. And that first drive, Mason Heinzel completed a couple passes, but they actually did run it up the middle. And they were getting, Des Reed, he got 5 yards the first one and then 6 yards the second carry. So they were a little bit up because they were all out pressure.
I'm not saying they can't all the time, but like when it's an obvious, we need to run the ball up the middle scenario, they can't do it.
Yeah.
And they refuse to do it. That's also part of the issue. And every play is out of shotgun. We're not going to go down that bridge because that's just the obvious. That's just stating the obvious.
Yeah.
But continue.
But yeah, and this, I mean, you could just tell, like, Notre Dame, they haven't been the best defense this season, but they just got more talented players and bigger players. Like, especially, like, Pitt's O-line is just small. I mean, Lyndon Cooper's a shorter O-lineman.
You look
BJ Williams is kind of heavy, but he's shorter. Ryan Baer's just not good.
Stanley looks like more of a tight end than he does a lineman.
Yeah, and he lost a lot of weight because he wanted to be more agile, and he's not agile and he's not big. Ryan Baer, coming in, there was big hopes for him, and he's just not been good. It was an overmatched O-line.
Is there anyone on this offensive line that's promising?
I think it's
what's his name? They had a really high-rated guard like from last year's class. Like he's a redshirt freshman. Or
Ryan Coretta?
No, it was another. Who's his name? He was a consensus 4-star recruit.
Well, anyway,
I'll look him up.
Gouveia, who was the guard, he did a pretty solid job. He's been out for the year for several games, and he's again, Notre Dame, they got their players in the trenches. They got 4 stars and everything recruiting. Pitt's O-line, Ryan Baer, transfer. Lyndon Cooper, NC State transfer. You talk about Kendall Stanley, transfer from Charlotte. Keith Gouveia, transfer from Richmond. Like, these are they're good players where they're at, and they're good players in the ACC. But in terms of that upper echelon, they're not going to block Notre Dame.
Well, but we've seen this. It's not just been Notre Dame. Like, Notre Dame, obviously, it was exploited to the max. But, I mean, they gave up 7 sacks against Syracuse.
Yeah.
Like, the issues have been there. And that was my concern. It's like, if they're giving up 7 sacks against Syracuse, what the heck is it going to look like against Notre Dame?
And it goes back to, like, they need to have a concerted effort recruiting O-linemen. Because they just really haven't done.
And the guy I was talking about was Caleb Holmes. He was the consensus 4-star recruit. I forgot about him.
And he hasn't even. They don't even play him.
They don't at all.
Well, and you blame Narduzzi, right? But I have to go back to Cade Bell. Now, Narduzzi is the one who was responsible for this whole offensive coordinator mess from the beginning, with getting rid of Mark Whipple, bringing in Signetti, Right, we've talked about this, right? They were about, with Cignetti and with Mark Whipple, even though Mark Whipple, they threw the ball around, it was still about running the ball and being physical at the line of scrimmage.
And Narduzzi loved Cignetti.
And
he loved Cignetti. So.
And with Cade Bell, it's a lot of, what's the word? Smoke and mirrors, right? A lot of fancy stuff, a lot of stuff sideline to sideline, a lot of slinging the ball around. But where is the physicality? Where is the, we're going to run the ball up the middle, you know it's coming, and you're going to stop us? That, to me, is Pitt Panthers football. That's what Pitt Panthers offense is running the ball and being physical at the line of scrimmage. And with Cade Bell, that is not their identity. And I think it starts with him. Now, obviously, you got to recruit better linemen, but it's the offensive coordinator's job, I would think, to identify that talent, right? So there has to be Cade Bell. We're not asking you to be conservative or completely change everything he does. It's just like you need to learn about physicality and running the ball and not always being in shotgun and not putting everything on your quarterback's shoulders.
One more point about Heinschel. You're talking about your hero ball and everything. You saw in this game, Heinschel's been able to, with this O-line being not great, he's had that pressure on him, but he's been able to elude
and he did that a little bit.
He did a little bit.
But nothing was open.
But you saw in that first drive, it gets to fourth down, and he can't escape.
Yeah.
That edge rusher for Notre Dame.
He's not faster than them, necessarily.
Yeah. These are different athletes, and I think that really set the tone as well, that play, because another thing with the Pitt defense, they had a lot of short fields. They had now they had the one where they backed Notre Dame way up, and then they have the offsides, deep pass, crazy catch by the Notre Dame receiver.
It happens once a game, the craziest catch I've ever seen.
And it was good coverage. I mean, it was
all
just,
the time. It's crazy.
It was good coverage and everything. It was just another one of those backbreakers for Pitt. But it was a lot of short fields because Pitt would not. I mean, they would really stall 3 and outs or just go like 10 yards, and you got a punt. And Notre Dame, there was a lot of times where they were at midfield or near there, and it was just an issue for this Pitt defense. And they were on the field a bunch. I'm interested to see how they play here. Kyle Lewis wasn't really a factor. Those linebackers really weren't a factor. I mean, Biles had the big play, but early, for most of that game, he looked a little rusty and a step late in coverage and in stopping the run. And Rashad Battle got burned early. I want to like this kid, but he's not even a kid anymore. He's been with Pitt for 6 years.
That's insane.
And he's hurt like every year. But I mean, it was a talent mismatch, and you got to make that talent mismatch up by coaching and by and you have the bye week and everything. But it seemed like Notre Dame with 1 week to prepare. I was saying this on the podcast last week. Marcus Freeman. He's going to do things with this defense to confuse Mason Heinschel and confuse Cade Bell, because Cade Bell was confused too, and because there was no answer.
And not only were the circumstances bad for Mason Heinschel, well, right, as far as the offensive line, everything being on him with how the offense is, but when you're a freshman quarterback, you're gonna make a mistake or two. And Pitt couldn't afford that in this game, right? They couldn't afford the mistakes, and that's what's going to come with the circumstance of we have to rely on you to do everything.
Yeah.
And we saw that pick 6, right? And that was just a bad throw. And he's had some turnover worthy plays, but we've gotten away with it because we've been ahead and we've been much better than some of the teams we've played. But that's going to happen with a young quarterback, as good as he's been.
That pick 6, that was one of the more deflating things you'll see.
That was.
Yeah, it was right after that big run too. 14-0.
Yeah, it was the first play, first or second play.
It was touchdown Notre Dame. And then, but it's okay, let's get the ball back. We moved the ball well in this first drive. Just some things happen. Let's reestablish ourselves a little bit, and it's just picks. And there's nothing. You're just seeing them. You see you can see the play happen. You're like, oh no, because you see those quarterbacks. I don't understand it. like they just a lot of times you don't see that linebacker. That's what happened with one of the CJ Carr picks, where you don't see that linebacker, you don't see Baines Marquez, you don't see that linebacker in the middle there. He's waiting for you to throw that. He's daring you to throw that because he's going to be right there, step in front of it. And it was just an easy pick six, and you're just like, that's it.
Yeah,
like, I just felt like that was it.
And there were a lot, and like
I have to go ahead.
No, you're good. I was gonna say like even in Notre Dame's first drive, they missed that field goal. There's still some momentum. It just didn't work out.
I have to disagree slightly with you. Yes, that was deflating, but what was deflating for me, I think, because I wasn't quite when it was 14-0. I was like, yeah, this isn't good. But I saw Notre Dame marching down the field, right? They were about to make it 21-0, and I said, well, if they score here, it's definitely over. But then Pitt, that Baines, whatever his name is,
maybe it's the field goal.
Gets the interception, runs. I mean, he literally ran he ran this way, then ran that way, then ran this way, then ran that way to get down inside the 10. Almost had an incredible pick six. It's like, okay, it was about to be 21-0. Now we're inside the 10 after that interception. That's a 14-point swing in our way. It's going to be 14-7 Notre Dame. Now, does Pitt win the game because of that? No, I don't think they would win the game. But would they have been competitive if they score on that touch? If they score on that, if they score when they're inside the 10 there after that interception, they were competitive. And before the game, to Nate, I said, if Pitt can just be competitive after being on the national stage like this on College Game Day,
it's respectable.
It would be good for the program. If they get destroyed, it's bad for the program. And it was bad for the program.
Yeah.
But to me, when they settled for that field goal, that's when I knew it was over.
Well, I guess the only good thing, I mean, there's not much good to come out of that, but the only, I guess, good thing is that now everyone has something to prove. You have 2 ACC games, you win out, you basically stand atop of the ACC. I mean, this is their opportunity to show themselves that this isn't the same team that they've been all year. And I hope that they come out firing against Georgia Tech.
I feel deja vu coming. I feel like they're going to end up finishing 7-5. It's the same thing as last year. They were 7-0. This year we're 7-2.
That would be the real deflating.
That would be,
yeah. 7-5. But look, if they lose to Georgia Tech, they're definitely losing to Miami because Miami has everything to play for. Now, Miami is goofy, but now there could be a scenario where, hey, Pitt has nothing to lose, and they play free, and Miami plays all tight because they're 9-2. They need one more win to basically get in the playoff. But but I kind of would see it as Pitt has nothing to play for at home in the last game of the season.
Well, let's talk. I was just gonna say to talk about this game a little bit.
So this is, I mean, every game now for Pitt is a playoff game, but their next 2 opponents, it's a playoff game for them as well because Georgia Tech, this is their final ACC game. If they win, they're in the ACC championship. Miami, right? They're probably not going to be able to make the ACC championship, but when they play Miami, it's going to be, for them, it's going to be win, and they're probably going to be in the playoff.
The committee,
or at least give them a shot.
The committee likes them enough to where they could get in that large bid.
So, okay, right, Notre Dame, we could give them the excuse of, well, they were outmatched. Narduzzi wasn't taking the game seriously enough, was being a clown all week, eating spaghetti and meatballs. But now they don't have that excuse anymore, right? This is the dog days of the season. This is where it counts. Can this team be ready to go and beat the competition that we know that they can beat, right? But, it's
just deflating now.
But they haven't played any, but they haven't really beaten anybody significant. So this is the time to prove that, hey, maybe we're not, a team that can compete with Notre Dame yet, but we're a team that can compete for an ACC championship.
Oh, if you make the ACC championship, and
I'm just talking about looking like a team that can compete for one because they still haven't had that win yet. And Georgia Tech would, even though we know they're so flawed, Georgia Tech, that would be that win because it's sold out. This is their season on the line. That would be a cornerstone win for the Mason Heinschel era.
Well, so both these games for Pitt remaining are elimination games
for all
Pitt
three
and the opponent.
All 3 parties,
So there's going to be, and obviously talking about Georgia Tech's going to be sold out. There's There's going to be a lot of, emphasis and everything in this game, a lot of hype. And if you're Cade Bell and you're this Pitt offense and you can't do anything against Georgia Tech, then you got to ring the alarm bells, because this is an atrocious defense.
Mm-hmm.
They gave up 500 yards to Boston College, who's flipping between quarterbacks who Pitt easily handled a month and a half ago. They gave up over 600 yards to NC State, where C.J. Bailey, Hollywood Smothers was out, their star running back, and their tight end, forgetting his name, their star tight end was out as well. He got hurt in that Pitt game.
Yeah.
And they got over 600 yards. You couldn't stop them. You were matching them for a while, and you couldn't get a single stop. So this has to be a game where Pitt scores a bunch of points. I think it's a good matchup for Pitt on paper, but this run defense is going to be questioned again. Haynes King is great.
Can we force some turnovers, and can we not turn the ball over? That's what it's going to come down to. Like we talked about with Notre Dame.
I just think Pitt's the better team here, but again, Georgia Tech, they're home, it's a sellout, and Pitt's they're always a weird team, and that I'm sorry, that game is I don't care. The Pitt players were speaking this week, and they're like, we still got everything in front of us. We're locked in on this game, but that's just the deflating. Hey, you're just not one of those teams. And I think they are a caliber team where they could be the best in this year's ACC. I think Miami is, but you beat Miami, then there you go. But you're still not one of the best, which has to be you have to know as a player, that has to be for me at least, if I'm playing, that has to be deflating, we're just not on that level. I hope it's not in their heads and everything, but going into this matchup for a month, I've been thinking Pitt has the advantage. Pitt, Georgia Tech can't throw the ball as well. They're great at running. Pitt's maybe not as good pass defense, but their run defense, they're elite. We see what happens last week. We know it's at home. Georgia Tech, they have everything to play for. They have a loss now. It's sold out. College football playoff hopes on the line. If you beat Pitt, you're in the ACC championship game, and you're right there for a chance to make the playoff. I just have a feeling now that even though on paper and just looking at the game, Pitt would have the edge, it just feels like a game where this season, like you're saying, Payne, could unravel here. And you lose to Georgia Tech. If you lose to Georgia Tech, there's no way they're beating Miami. I'll say that right now.
Yeah.
I don't care that Miami's so goofy sometimes. Miami's going to beat Virginia Tech, and they're going to have everything to play for still.
Yeah.
And so this.
I don't think. Miami is. I know it was early in the season. Miami beat Notre Dame. They are by far the most talented team in the ACC. And the last few weeks they've looked like the Miami of old, just rolling some teams. So. Look, I say going into this season, I don't see how this Pitt team is more than a 7-win team. Maybe they get to 8 wins, I think would be the best scenario. And going into the Notre Dame game, it was looking like I was an idiot, and I was maybe I was really wrong about this Pitt team. But look, this is still the same team, although it's a different quarterback, still the same team that lost embarrassing fashion to Louisville and lost to West Virginia on the road. So they have a lot to prove. Like you were saying, Jake Bell. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy.
Well,
and if they were to win these next 2 games somehow, all credit to them.
It would be
a very successful season if they did so.
I will say that the thing that will benefit Pitt here is, you stop the run against Georgia Tech and Miami. Georgia Tech, they're not going to threaten you throwing the ball. Haynes King has pretty much become more of a one-dimensional quarterback, especially of now. He still has some arm talent-ish.
He threw for a lot against NC State. I know that was
but also he had to. But it's just he's not going to be
their
too
offense.
Much. Yeah, he has to be running the football effectively for this offense to work. And if he's not, that's going to be beneficial for Pitt. He's not going to throw interceptions, but you're going to have to force fumbles to turn the ball over against Georgia Tech. And the good thing about Miami is that Carson Beck is prone to the interception. If you make him throw the ball 50 times, he might throw 2 picks in the game. So it's just, and luckily, it's not like Notre Dame where you're facing a Heisman contending NFL running back that's probably going to get drafted in the first round. You're not, at least not to my knowledge. I don't think they're playing another first round running back against Georgia Tech or Miami. But I think that if Pitt plays their brand of defense, they should have the edge in these games. But that all depends if they do. If they don't, they could really give up a lot of yards. So I think that if they need to play with their identity against Georgia, especially against Georgia Tech and also against Miami, and they should be able to take care of business. But again, if they don't, they're going to finish 7-5, and that would end up being a disaster when you are 7-2. You're everything's that
and I feel like I agree with Nate. I feel like we're heading down that track. I just don't.
That loss is just.
But Georgia Tech is going to be the key to everything because this is a team that's beatable, but this is still a big game. This is a game where you have to prove. This is a prove it game,
and they have to travel all the way down south
on the road.
Yeah.
And ACC Huddle's going to be there. The ACC Network's going to be there. So now the inverse is, hey, maybe Brent Key's no Narduzzi, but hanging out with the ACC Huddle crew before the game a little bit.
No one knows about that.
I know. But, it should be. I mean, this is for all the marbles, really. I still think even if Pitt beats Georgia Tech, I just have a feeling Miami was going to beat Pitt. I would be okay with that. I think Miami's, like you said,
right,
most talented team, and they have that urgency because of what happened last year. You got to at least prove
something by beating Georgia Tech. If you don't beat Georgia Tech, you haven't proved anything this year at all.
And the good thing is, say Pitt does beat Georgia Tech and Miami. I know we all don't believe that'll happen, but if they do, they don't have to face either of them in the ACC championship. You either play Virginia or SMU. Most likely.
Well, there's a doomsday scenario where
there is
I thought Pitt controlled their own destiny.
I thought so,
but there's a good chance SMU wins out, Virginia wins out, and Pitt and then SMU, Virginia, and Pitt. If they all win out, Pitt is the odd man out.
Are they really?
Yes.
How's that work?
Because Virginia beat Louisville and Pitt lost to Louisville, they'd have the head-to-head.
And SMU
would beat
plays Louisville tomorrow at noon.
So that all depends.
That's a big game for us Pitt now, right?
That'll
be before the Georgia Tech game.
Yeah.
Louisville.
I didn't realize that.
On quit watch.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
Miller Moss is complaining about the culture. Like, bro, you're on your way out. What are you talking about?
Jeff Fromm, he wins these games, though.
He does.
And Kevin Jennings, you get him banged up a little bit. SMU, they've lost some. There's some scenarios.
You never know.
But,
I mean, the ACC, you never know.
I would be so sad. Like, if Pitt has one ACC loss and they don't make it because of that Louisville game, that
Louisville game was a disgrace. I mean, they should have never lost that game.
But you have the feeling that, if Pitt wins these next two games, they deserve to make it in
100%
over an SMU or Virginia. Although Virginia looked a lot better last week against Duke, that was an important win for them. Mm-hmm. That would be the ACC doomsday with Duke. If Duke would have won that and they went out and they're in the ACC championship and they win the ACC with 4 losses.
Well, would Duke make the playoff over a Tulane or James Madison if they're ranked ahead of them? Because I don't know. They might be ranked ahead.
We don't have to worry about some garbage like that.
Yeah, that's what people were talking about last week. But anyway, so we'll see that game's at 7. So we'll see the SMU Louisville game.
The lights gonna
all of the lights.
Under the lights. That's our first night game.
Wow.
Well, no, actually Syracuse was a night game, but
that doesn't really
even count.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we took a quick time out there. We're gonna end this podcast with a new segment. It's not really a new segment. We've said this a lot. We say this phrase a lot, but we're basically making the phrase into a segment. So it's something you've heard before, but now it's a segment, which is the Let's Be Honest segment, where we be honest about, we're just honest. I mean, that's and
honesty is the best policy.
But the honesty is that, look, sometimes we may not have nice things to say, and it may hurt. It may hurt. And it may hurt some feelings, but we have to be honest because we're not going to get anywhere if we're not honest. And if we don't address the issues head on, these teams or players, whoever we call out here, They're not gonna get better. I don't know where I was going, but welcome.
I was just gonna let you go because you were
Welcome to the Let's Be
cooking
Honest segment. And today, Nate, who are we gonna be honest about?
Well, we just watched the Buffalo Bills get outclassed by the Houston Texans, the more talented team. We saw Houston defensively, 8 sacks. Josh Allen was hit 12 times.
Will Anderson, what a great trade up.
The Bills, like let's be honest about the Bills. They are not going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I think that's pretty clear. They're going to be a wild card team. They'd have to win 3 straight road games. They can't beat the Texans on the road with Davis Mills. So, I mean, their defense is nothing to write home about. The Texans could have done more in that game with Davis Mills than they did even. Josh Allen, you got James Cook, but in terms of passing, he has to do wonders with this O-line isn't very good either. And Deion Dawkins, he loves to go on, the herd in different places and talk a big game. He was very slow yesterday, and he was really bad at that left tackle spot.
How about that Ben Bryan or whatever his name is? He has that old school pad in his back.
Oh yeah.
But he was hurt. No, he was
Brown.
hurt.
Was it Spencer Brown?
I don't know what his name is. Spencer something Bryan. We love the Bryan. We love Nicholas Bryan. We love anybody Antonio Bryan.
Wow, look at
But yeah, Buffalo. Look, I hate to brag. No, I like the
He hates the Bills.
I don't like the Bills. Well, I don't like their fan. I don't. Just everything about them. Ever since they've gotten Josh Allen, they've been very smug. When in reality, they are a bottom feeder franchise in the NFL.
Who do you not like more, Sirianni or the Bills?
I dislike Sirianni more.
Okay.
But that's a discussion.
Well, you got to
for
give
another
Sirianni
day.
credit real quick because, he's handling a lot of personalities in the Eagles locker room right now.
He is.
I
Yeah,
wanted
you know
to
what?
talk-
His is one of them.
I wanted to talk about this, but the Philly next week.
We're not on to Philly
No,
right now.
I'll talk about it next episode, but the Philly
jeez
sports
Louise.
media,
Sorry.
Philly sports media, you got to stop with
We're
AJ
sleeping
Brown.
here tonight.
Some of these questions AJ Brown was getting asked were ridiculous. Please stop. This is ridiculous. The line of questioning. Okay, I'll stop.
Thank you. I've been saying for a while, Josh Allen. They are Josh Allen reliant, and it's more evident than ever because they had some good defensive players in the past. They
still do,
Diggs.
but it's weird. It's just they're just not good right now.
There's
They're
no
secondary.
stars on that defense, especially in the secondary.
Their
And we saw
secondary's
it in
bad.
week 1. Sean McDermott, and this has been an issue against the good teams, but now we're seeing it against mediocre teams. Sean McDermott cannot elevate talent as a defensive coach. It's the same issue we have with Tomlin, right? And by the way, they both went to William and Mary, so I don't know if that means anything. But McDermott he doesn't have his side of the ball down. And to me, for years now, he's been getting carried by Josh Allen, and now Josh Allen is having issues because them not having a number one weapon, right? Stephon Diggs leaving. They were okay without Stephon Diggs for a while, but now it's who is stepping up for them, really?
Certainly not Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman I don't know what he does. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't even
He's
play.
not been playing because he's been immature
He's a
and
moron.
not showing up to stuff.
So that's an issue. And then their offensive line apparently is an issue at times. And when Josh is even a little bit off, right, if he's not superhuman, this team is nothing
Very pedestrian.
without Josh Allen. And I think people are finally coming to the realization that this franchise and this organization, that's the same thing. It's been a long day, folks. This organization and this coaching staff and this roster without Josh Allen is nothing. There's nothing there. And look, they may win some playoff games. Heck, they may go to a Super Bowl under Sean McDermott. But you know what? Nick Sirianni went to a Super Bowl too, folks. Now, it would be a different situation because Sirianni was carried by a great roster. McDermott is being carried by a great quarterback and one of the most elite talents we have ever seen at the position. So, yeah, get this guy some help. And me and my dad have been saying, and my dad's been honest, if they don't make the Super Bowl or if they don't at least make it to the AFC Championship, McDermott is goodbye.
Yeah.
What does he bring to the
this year,
table?
they can lose in the wild card game this year.
Absolutely.
And they got tough games coming up.
Now, if they play the Steelers on the road, I'm sure they'll win 35-7. But that's another story.
Oh, I don't want to think about that.
Well, actually, they play the
play
Bills next week, so we'll get a preview of that potentially. So, yeah, McDermott, you got to go, buddy. And I've never really thought highly of him. I thought he's a little smug. I thought, what does he do? Because they've had some good defenses over the years, but it's like against the good teams, they look fraudulent. And now we're seeing that overall, their defense is just not that good. And it's not led by scheme. It can only be led by talent. And they don't have a lot of talent on that defense.
This year, Kansas City 5-5. Like, are they going to make the playoff?
Part of our we got to be honest segment.
Just real quick, you're like, okay, this is maybe a wide open. This is our year. Like, Kansas City might be done. This is Buffalo Bills. This is our chance to make the Super Bowl. And you get outclassed by a first-year coach who's a great coach, Mike Vrabel, and a Patriots team is going to run away with that division.
This Patriots roster, we have to remember, was decimated, and now they have one of the best records in football. It's unbelievable what coaching, and that's the difference between having a great coaching staff and having a mediocre coaching staff, and it's a big issue. It's a big thing in the NFL. But yes, the second part, Kansas City, we've been giving them slack week after week after week, and
lock of the week, me and Cashman.
We know that they get better as the year goes on, right? I still think they're going to make the playoffs, but we have to be honest about them being a Super Bowl contender. I think until they prove otherwise, I mean, they haven't had I can't think of a win that they've had this year that's been impressive. The offensive line, I think, has been kind of hit or miss in some years, but it's a big miss this year. There's a lot of developing that needs to happen. And when you have money involved in Mahomes, in Chris Jones, well, Mahomes, obviously, you have to have the money in him. But when you have you have the money in older players like Chris Jones and Travis Kelce, and those guys are mediocre at best, and the rest of the roster, hurts, right? And that's what you get. You get mediocre results. And last year, the funny thing is, I've heard that some of the metrics say that Kansas City is actually a better team this year than they were last year.
Well, they're just losing these close games.
But the thing, and the reason that is because they're in the same kind of games they were last year, but this year they're losing it. So there has been a clear decline with Kansas City. But because of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they've been able to get away with it. But now it's like, there needs to be some restructuring of this franchise, and they need to hit on some draft picks.
Yeah, I think that the Chiefs, if they were to somehow win out, I think they'd win the Super Bowl. But realistically, they can only afford at most 2 losses, and that doesn't scream, convincing to me. It's just I've always told people every single year someone's like, oh, the Chiefs, they might not win the division this year. I'm like, I'm not going to say that until I see it. Until it happens, every year we think that, and it just never happens. But this year, I mean, the Broncos have been winning ugly, but they've been winning, and that if they win, Broncos win 2 more games, that could be it. They could just win the division.
Well, they play
depending on what the Chargers.
They're going to win the division.
The Broncos. I think we have locked it up because
the Chargers.
Their next 2 games. The Broncos' next 2 games are nothing.
Yeah. We gotta real quick. We also gotta be honest about the fighting Jim Harbaugh's because
Well, they're just decimated. Yeah. And what does that tell you about the Steelers? They got dominated by this Chargers team
Steeler game
with nobody on the offensive line.
I don't take much into that game. That was just
what I take into is that the Pittsburgh is not a good team. That's what I take.
But we knew that. I mean, that was. I mean, that was.
But
just,
you lost to a team that got blown out by Jacksonville. That's
you
unacceptable.
Get a fluke thing, and that was Steelers are their Super Bowl. So that's all.
The Chiefs are supposed to be their Super Bowl, not the Steelers.
They can't beat the Chiefs.
They beat the Chiefs earlier in the year.
In a foreign country. Nobody cares. Where did they even beat them? We don't even know. Did that even happen? I don't know.
Wow.
Wow, you beat the 5-5 Chiefs.
We're really
the Chiefs, they gotta win. They gotta find a way to win this. I think they're gonna.
I'm picking them again. Sneak peek. I'm picking them again in my pick.
They're playing the Colts this week.
Must-win spot. Yeah. Even though everything's saying Colts off a bye, Chiefs coming from the altitude, but this is a must-win.
Yeah,
you can't go 5-6.
I feel good with Daniel Jones. It's not like last week the Chiefs played. Who did the Chiefs lose to last week?
Denver.
Yeah, they did.
But Daniel Jones on the road is a different story than Daniel Jones at home. And Daniel Jones has been shaky. I do think they're going to get the job done. But, I mean, we said that we all felt that way last week with Denver. So they got to prove something. As crazy as it is, Kansas City, you're on fraud watch, buddy.
Uh-oh.
Wow, that term does not get thrown around.
That's disrespectful for everything
they've done.
That
term does not get thrown around, and for Pirate Peyton to use it speaks volumes.
And this is really a very honest segment. It really was.
I think it's a great way to end. Yeah. We're all exhausted. It's been a long week. Please sit back, relax, enjoy this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. Check out all of our socials in the description, TikTok, Twitter. Our picks videos will be up.
Tell me how bad I'm doing in picks. Comment.
Here. You can say I'm on Fraud Watch too.
Be honest in the comments.
And Pirate Peyton is on the rise potentially.
Be honest. Maybe. Pirate Peyton is cooking in picks, and Nathan needs to stop picking because he's not on Fraud Watch.
Or what you can do
I'm on Quit
is
Watch.
Just pick against all of his picks.
Well, I went 2 and I went, but I'm not there. I'm 2 and 3. There's a lot of 2 and 3 weeks, and now my locks. You pick against me with my locks. You got to do that.
Right? Oh yeah, it's like
Cashman. That's why we're saying about Cashman. He went with me with my Chiefs lock last week.
You can't afford that.
I told Cashman
can't afford
Cashman,
to do
he
that.
loves the locks. He's like, you got to have the lock, and I said, Cashman, you can't go with a pigeon lock. All right, well, that'll do it. See you in episode 55.
Oh yeah, Russell Martin, baby.
That's a throwback. I like that one.
Oh yeah.
Maybe is he gonna get some Hall of Fame votes?
I don't know if he did last year. I don't know.
Didn't he fall off the thing?
Best Pirates catcher of the 2010s. I don't care if you throw Cervelli's name out there. Martin was better.
Martin. Yeah.
Martin was much better.
Yeah. All right. Peace out, everybody.